All right, let's get right into this because we're looking at a really fascinating, kind of puzzling ruling from the Idaho Supreme Court. It's a foreclosure case where, on the surface, it looks like the homeowner lost the battle for his house, but he may have just won the war for his day in court.
And at the heart of all this is the homeowner, Jeremy Bass. For him, this isn't just about a building. As he puts it, it's about his life savings. We're talking over $300,000 in equity, and it's a fight for what he calls fundamental fairness.
So that brings us to the big question, the central paradox we're going to unpack today. How on earth can a single court order be a devastating loss and a massive win, all at once? Let's break it down.
So first up, let's just look at the ruling itself. It's a three-part decision that, honestly, seems like a pretty straightforward loss for the homeowner when you first read it.
Okay, so on April 16th, 2025, the court drops this order. And look at this. They denied two huge motions from Bass, but then, in the very same order, they denied a motion from the corporate entities, a motion that would have just killed his entire appeal right then and there. Weird, right?
And this slide just lays out that contradiction perfectly. The loss, it's immediate, it's real. Bass is physically out of his home. But the win is strategic, and it's profound. His right to appeal, to actually have his case heard, that's still alive. The court basically refused to let his case get shut down by what some experts call a procedural guillotine.
So let's dig into the loss first. What exactly did Bass lose in this ruling, and why was it such a major, immediate blow?
The court said no to two key things. First, an emergency stay. That was his shot to stop or even reverse his physical eviction. Second, a bond waiver. Now, normally, if you want to pause a judgment while you appeal, you have to post this thing called a supersedeas bond, which is basically a giant security deposit. For most people, that's just not possible financially. By denying both, the court cemented the reality on the ground. For now, the house belongs to the corporation.
And this decision, well, it effectively gave a green light to something called the possession rush. It's this corporate playbook where the new owners move at lightning speed to take physical control. They're trying to create facts on the ground, to make the situation seem so final that any appeal feels pointless, like it's already too late.
But here's the twist. That possession rush didn't quite work out the way they'd hoped. And this brings us to the other side of the coin, the strategic victory that saved Bass's entire case from going up in smoke. To really get this win, you have to understand a legal idea called mootness. All it means is a court says, you know what, there's nothing for us to decide here anymore. For an appeal, it's a death sentence. It is that jurisdictional guillotine we were talking about, and it just shuts everything down.
So here's the absolute heart of it. The corporation's entire argument was, hey, we have the house now, so this appeal is moot, game over. They thought possessing the property made the case disappear. But the Idaho Supreme Court looked at that argument and said, nope, we don't agree.
And the importance of that single decision is just massive. As Professor Eleanor Blackwood points out here, if the court had gone the other way, it would have basically handed a playbook to foreclosure companies. Just grab the house fast enough, and you can dodge any real questions about whether you did it legally. The court said, not so fast.
You know, this ruling isn't just about Jeremy Bass. It really puts a spotlight on the whole system of foreclosure litigation and some of the strategies that have become pretty common.
Housing advocates talk about this triple delay strategy that basically creates a catch-22 for homeowners. Step 1, servicers are accused of dragging their feet on loan modifications until it's too late. Step 2, the buyers rush to take physical possession. And then Step 3, they turn right around and argue the appeal is moot because they have the house. It's a procedural trap.
And this is all happening in a pretty specific environment. In Idaho, foreclosure filings are up 25% since 2022. But just look at who's buying these properties. A staggering 70% of auction purchases are being made by big institutional buyers, by corporations. The whole game has changed.
And within that context, Bass makes an absolutely explosive claim in his appeal. He alleges that there's a pattern here, a pattern of the same entities, all connected to the same law firm that's running the foreclosures, winning these auctions over and over again.
So that begs a pretty wild question, right? Just what are the mathematical odds of one single group winning 12 auctions in a row against other bidders if it's all just pure random chance? According to the stats in Bass's legal filing, the odds are 1 in 244 million. Yeah, you heard that right. He's arguing this isn't just bad luck, it's a virtual impossibility that points to something else entirely. And now, because his appeal is still alive, this is a claim the court can actually look at. So what does all this mean for the future of this case?
Well, with his appeal still on the table, the fight for what Bass calls justice is entering a whole new chapter.
Because the court shot down that mootness argument, Bass now gets to argue the real substance of his case. He can present his evidence about a defective notice, those serious allegations of misconduct and coordinated bidding, and critically, he gets to fight for his $300,000 plus in equity. These are the core issues that would have been completely silenced.
So, where could this go from here? Well, an outright win where Bass gets the house back is, statistically, pretty rare. What's more likely is some kind of negotiated settlement, because the corporations now have to face a long and expensive appeal. But even if Bass ultimately loses the case, a really powerful precedent has been set for other homeowners.
At the end of the day, this case really boils down to a fundamental conflict we see all the time in our legal system. On one side, you have this need for procedural efficiency. Lenders need the system to be fast and predictable. But on the other side, you have substantive justice, the idea that a person deserves a truly fair hearing before their property, their life savings can be taken away.
And that really leaves us with the final big question that this case forces us all to think about. What do we want our justice system to prioritize? Is it about ensuring market efficiency? Or is it about guaranteeing a fair shot, a real hearing, for everyone, no matter what it costs?